Hello and welcome to Public Utilities versus Public Goods. I'm Adam Reed from the Renewable and Sustainable Energy Institute in Boulder, Colorado, USA. We'll continue our discussion of the economic regulation of electric utilities that began in the previous webinar here by examining the ontological differences between public utilities like electricity and natural gas and public goods like national defense and roads. Let's begin with some examples of public goods. Clean air has no immediate cost, though we all pay for it in a modern society by having our tax dollars pay for environmental regulators and the effects of their actions on the economy. If the fire department saves your home or a police officer stops a crime, the benefited party usually doesn't receive a bill. If you drive on a road, you don't pay more if you drive more, unless the road is a private toll road. In all of these instances, the cost of a public good is borne by all through taxes without regard to specific usage. So why not treat utilities like electricity like public goods and pay for them through tax revenues? Aren't they as critical to modern life as some other things we consider public goods like roads and police? To answer this question, we need to understand the ontology or fundamental nature of public goods. Public goods exhibit two things that public utilities do not: non-rivalrousness and non-excludability. Rivalrous goods are goods that get used up as people consume them. If I buy a car, you cannot buy the same car. We're one car short. But a public good is non-rivalrous. When I breathe clean air, there isn't less clean air for you to breathe. When I drive on a road, there isn't less road for you to use. Electricity, however, is clearly rivalrous. When I consume electricity, it is used up, and we have to generate more of it for someone else to consume. Excludability refers to the ability of a producer to exclude people who will not pay from consuming their goods or services. Public goods are effectively non-excludable. I cannot stop someone from breathing clean air or benefiting from national defense, even if they don't pay their taxes. Economists call these people free riders. Electricity and other public utilities, however, are excludable, and we can prevent free riders in most situations. The power company can shut off service to non-paying customers. These two factors explain why we use taxes to pay for public goods. We cannot exclude those who will not pay, and cannot allocate costs among users according to derived benefits, since the goods aren't used up in a precise way. It isn't because public goods are more important than other goods for basic life, but rather that we simply can't figure out a way to charge on a user basis. So since public utilities are rivalrous and excludable, we can meter them and shut them off, and they fall into the private goods category. Consequently, none of these things is a public good, and that's a good thing, because public good status does not solve the free rider problem. It just reduces its frequency and distributes it over more cooperators. Imagine if you lived in a neighborhood where everyone paid equally for electricity, regardless of how much they used. Now imagine your neighbor on the east decided to stop paying for electricity and kept consuming the same amount. All the other homes would have to chip in more to cover him. Now what if your neighbor on the west built a huge candy factory next to his house and tapped into the power system, using far more power than anyone else? Again, you'd all have to chip in to pay for this extra expense, which the western neighbor would then profit from in selling his candy. Not ideal. Instead, we just put a meter on each home and charge consumers according to how much electricity they use, typically in kilowatt hours. Often, utilities also charge consumers a demand charge on the basis of their peak demand for the month in kilowatts. This ensures that a user who uses a lot of power, like a factory, pays for its share of the extra generation and transmission needed to serve it during these peak periods. Now that we've determined what public utilities are not public goods, or that public utilities are not public goods, we can tackle the next logical question. Why don't we treat them like purely private goods? We'll discuss this in the next lecture. Thank you for your attention.